Good morning, dear students. It's great seeing you all. Today we're going to be working on Unit 13, Lessons 1 and 2. Our topic of the day is at the observatory. So I want you to think about the word observatory. What is the first thing that pops into your mind? If we look at the base word, which is observe, think about observing. What is observing? What kind of action would I do if I'm going to observe? Let's go look at our objectives for the day and then get started. I'd like you all to look at the image that you can see now. This is basically an observatory, so it's a place where people get to look at something carefully. We can see stars at the top of the picture, which is basically astronomers looking at stars and planets and so on. This is our topic of the day, so you are expected to pay attention, and you're also expected to bring your notebooks and your pens so that we can get started on reading, note-taking, and answering questions. Okay, so our objectives of the day are we're going to talk about the solar system, we're going to read an article about astronomy, and we're going to answer questions. Then we're going to write interview questions, and we're going to learn to ask polite questions. So we're going to look at the image. This image basically summarizes our solar system. We have 8 planets, and we have an astronomer looking carefully at those planets or observing those planets. The first question, we're going to read the fact file, and then we're going to answer the following questions. So if you look carefully, on the right-hand side, read along with me, please. Our solar system includes the sun and some planets. Some of the planets have moons. Astronomers can look at the planets and stars through a telescope. So we have 3 new vocabulary words. The first one is solar system. The second one is moons. And the third one is astronomers. Now, if we look at question 1, it states the following. How many planets are there in our solar system? If you have already counted along with me, you will automatically know the answer, which is there are 8 planets in our solar system. Question 2 states, what can you learn about an observatory from the word observe, or the basic word observe, which means to look at carefully. So you can learn a lot about astronomy just by watching or looking. Now we're going to move on to the next. So guys, you're going to be reading a website article, and we're going to be answering questions about it. We asked you to send us your questions about the solar system for our team of astronomers here at the observatory. Here are the answers. So the first question states, how many planets are there in our solar system? Eunice asked, how many planets are there in our solar system? There are 8. They are all different sizes. The biggest planet is 1,000 times bigger than Earth. 3 of the planets are smaller than Earth. The second question states, do all the planets have moons? Aya asked if all the planets had moons. Only 2 planets in the solar system don't have any moons. But 1 planet has 62 moons and 1 has 67. The Earth's moon is round, but many of the other moons are different shapes and sizes. Now, the next question is, what is a shooting star? Jude asked what a shooting star was. Shooting stars are not stars. A shooting star is a small piece of rock that is traveling through space. As it moves, it gets hotter. It usually burns and disappears before it falls onto the Earth. Is it hot or cold on the moon? Ziad asked if it was hot or cold on the moon. When the sun shines on the moon, it's very hot. It's around 123 degrees. The side of the moon that isn't in the sun is freezing. It is around minus 153 degrees. So now, guys, I want you to pay attention to the words in bold at the beginning of each answer that are in blue. If we look at the first one, Eunice asked how many planets there were in our solar system. Now, over here, this is a reported statement. It is related to the question that was asked. how many planets are there in our solar system, and the reported statement is Eunice asked how many planets there were in our solar system. If we look at the second question, we'll notice that we know that Aya is the one who asked if all the planets had moons. And the third question, what is a shooting star? We know that Jude asked what a shooting star was. And the last and final one was asked by Ziad. So Ziad asked if it was hot or cold on the moon. Now, guys, we have learned new vocabulary words that are highlighted in red. Let's go through them. The first one is times. The second one is shapes. The third one is shooting stars. The fourth is piece. The fifth is round. The sixth is degrees. The seventh is side. The eighth is freezing. And the ninth is minus. Okay, so let's move forward. Guys, based on the text, you're going to be contemplating and thinking carefully whether those statements are true or false. The first one is done for us, so let's take a look at the model. All the planets in the solar system are the same size. This is a false statement. Now let's look at number 2. 2 planets in the solar system have more than 50 moons. Is this true or false? You can always refer back to the text if you're unsure. Let's check our answer together. That is a correct statement. Number 2 is true. Let's read number 3. A shooting star is a piece of rock. Is that true or false, guys? It is definitely true. Now, let's look at number 4. Shooting stars often fall onto the earth. Is this true or false? I want you to think about the consequences if shooting stars do fall on Earth. What would happen? What would happen to all of us? It is definitely false. They usually burn and disappear first before they go anywhere. Now, fifth is the side of the moon that is not in the sun is 153 degrees Celsius. That is false. It is minus 153 degrees Celsius. Okay, now I want you guys to guess the word based on our vocabulary words, which are astronomer, solar system, planets, shooting star, degrees, freezing, minus, and observatory. So let's check. Number 1. Astronomers go to the observatory to check the sky and the stars. So astronomers are people who study astronomy, and the observatory is basically the place where they go in order to be able to observe. They have special tools that help them observe the planets and the solar system. Let's go to number 2. The solar system has 8 planets that are different in sizes. Next, number 3. The side of the moon that is away from the sun is freezing. It is usually minus 153 degrees. So any degree that is in minus is usually very, very, very cold. Extremely cold. Number 4. A shooting star is not a star. It is a piece of rock that falls from the star. Please remember this statement. Now, let's sum up. Today we've learned new words and we've learned some facts about the solar system. We're going to move on to lesson 2. Guys, welcome to lesson 2. This is the same topic at the observatory, but we're going to go through more details. Now, I want you guys to look at question 1, which is basically asking you to underline the verbs and tell me, what do you notice about the word order and tenses? So let's look at the first one. How many planets are there? Over here, we're using the present tense, are. So it is underlined for you. If we look at 1b, we'll notice that Eunice asked how many planets there were. Now, did the tense change or not? At the beginning, we used are. In the second example, we used were. So definitely, the tense changed from present tense to past tense. And over here, we actually got to know who is the person who's asking that question by reporting who said it. Now, let's look at the second example. Do all the planets have moons? Aya asked if all the planets had moons. Now, if we look at the verbs, we'll notice that the verb was in the present tense, which is have, and then it moved to the past tense. And the kind of at the beginning, it was a question, and then it turned into a statement. What kind of statement is it? It's us reporting that Aya asked if all the planets had moons. Now let's look at number 3. What is a shooting star? Jude asked what a shooting star was. So now the first part is a question and it is using the present tense, whereas the second one is using the past tense, asked and was. Let's look at number 4, which is it hot or cold on the moon? Ziad asked if it was hot or cold on the moon. So in the first part, it is a question and it is using the present tense, whereas the second part is using the past tense and it is a reported statement or reported speech. Okay, guys, I want you to look at the difference here. We've already done the first one, so we can look at the second one. Do you have homework? Noha asked if I had homework. So over here, we changed have to had. So we changed the present tense into the past tense. That's what happens when we are using reported speech. So we're stating the person who said the quote or said the question. Guys, I want you to look at the example. What is your name? Asked Selma. And then read with me. Selma asked me what my name was. In that case, over here, we're going to learn that reported questions follow the same rules as reported statements. The tense or the verb tense has to change to one step back in the past. The pronouns change according to the meaning, and we put the subject before the verb. So if we know who stated that question, we are going to use the name of that person at the beginning of the sentence. Let's look at the second example in red. Are you an astronomer? The student asked the professor. Now we're going to turn it into a reported speech. So we're going to say, the students asked the professor if she was an astronomer. For yes and no questions, we use if after the verb ask. Okay? So the student asked the professor if she was an astronomer. So if the answer to the question is either yes or no, we must use if after the verb. Let's look at the next example in red. Why are telescopes expensive? Asked Lena. Lena asked why telescopes were expensive. What are you doing? I asked Rufaida. I asked Rufaida what she was doing. So we can also use question words after the verb ask. Okay, we can use question words after the verb ask. Okay, now reporting verbs include wonder, ask, and want to know. We're going to move on now to exercise 2. Guys, you're going to be practicing reporting these questions. The first one is done for us. Let's take a look at the model. Do you like reading Taha? Asked the teacher. So over here, the teacher is speaking to Taha. She's asking him a question. So we want to report what the teacher asked. So we're going to say, the teacher asked Taha if he liked reading. Let's go to number 2. Hania asked, when is the next bus leaving? Now we want to turn it into a reported statement. So we must use the name of the girl who is asking. In that case, we will say, Hania asked when the next bus was leaving. So we're going to turn is into was. Let's move on to number 3. Will you finish your homework before dinner? Karim asked his sister. Now we want to report what Karim asked. So we're going to start with Karim asked his sister if she would help him with his homework. Over here, the question that is stated in number 3 is actually a yes or no question. In that case, we will use if. So we'll say Karim asked his sister if she would help him with his homework. The next question is number 4. How long does it take you to get to school? Warda asked me. In that case, what a beautiful name Warda is. Warda asked me how long it took me to get to school. So I'm reporting what Warda has stated or what Warda has asked. So I start with her name. Now, you're doing a great job, guys. We're going to move on to question or exercise 3. Take turns to complete these questions, then tell the class what your partner has asked you. Guys, this is my favorite part because we're going to practice what we have learned through speech. So we're going to try and practice using the language orally. So the first example on the right-hand side is done for us. If we look at the speech bubbles, we'll see that one girl is asking the other a question and the other is reporting what she has stated. So it goes like this. What time do you get up in the morning? She asked me what time I got up in the morning. So if I ask you, what time do you go to school? You might say, Sarah asked me what time I go to school in. Okay, number 2, can you play? I want you guys to practice using those questions. You can work with a partner, you can work with somebody from your family members. It's totally fine. Now, I'm going to wrap up and I want to thank you guys. Today we have learned more about the solar system and we've read an article about astronomy. We have written interview questions and we have asked polite questions. Now we are going to stop. Thank you very much.